Grieving people can do the most dangerous and worst thing in the world to get their loved ones back. Filmmaker Justin G. Dyck showed this powerful emotion through his horror mystery movie, Anything for Jackson. If you want to know more about this movie, stay tuned and watch our full recap. Please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And thank you for watching. Henry and Audrey enjoy a morning with a cheerful song and breakfast. Later, they talked about someone who came early today, and both left to receive her. But they both brought her in while grabbing her mouth as if they were going to kidnap her, and she shouldn't make any sound to grab attention. Even Audrey hit her, and Henry took her upstairs. The pregnant woman wakes up while feeling the baby's hand on her face. She sees Audrey is also there and tries to read something from the paper in her hand. When Henry comes, Audrey again reads out from the paper to let her know that the odd behavior they did this morning was the perfect way to make her look missing. And Henry will look after her here as he is a doctor. Audrey also tells her that they won't harm her and her baby, and they also won't let her go no matter how many times she begs. The whole time, they put a cloth in the pregnant woman's mouth so that she could not make any sound. The following day, when they take out the cloth from the lady's mouth, she screams. But Audrey tells her not to do that as they made the room soundproof and she will tire her off screaming. But then the woman asks why they are doing this to her. Audrey tells her this is the only way to return their grandson. The pregnant lady, Shannon Becker, again sees the baby boy playing in the room and asks if everything is for him. It looks like no one, but Shannon can see the boy's spirit. Audrey tells Shannon that Jackson, the baby, is dead. At that time, Becker sees the deep wound behind Jackson's head. Returning from the room, Audrey tells Henry about Jackson's appearance. They both are pleased about the outcome as they're trying to do their best to bring back their grandson. While leaving the house, Mr. Henry Walsh finds Rory, who came to shovel their snow, but he tries to convince him to come another day as Mrs. Audrey Walsh is sick now. Audrey comes to Becker's room to give her the morning vitamins. She also snatches her phone, where she makes a plan to meet a guy through one of the dating apps so that later, if the police try to find her, they'll know she went to meet a guy and went missing. This creepy old couple is doing all sorts of things for an unimaginable reason. The couple comes to a snowy place where a dead bird is before them. Audrey takes an old book from her bag. They're following this one to do all kinds of rituals. Then, she takes a bit of blood from her thumb and tries to throw it on the dead bird's body. Then she reads out some spells from the book, bringing the dead bird back to life. On the other hand, the creepy couple is a part of the satanic cult and also the worshippers of Satan. In the past, Shannon was one of Mr. Walsh's patients. When he learns that she has no one to look for her, he targets her for their ungodly rituals. In the present time, they start to do satanic rituals in her room, making some odd-looking symbols and putting Jackson's toys and belongings on them so that they can call the spirit. As a result of these rites, Shannon starts to vomit blood, making her even sicker. They even make a mark on her forehead with blood. Then they call for the Dark Lord. The lights start to flicker to confirm that the ritual is working. Audrey starts to read some lines from the book, which helps them see Jackson's spirit. But all of a sudden, something hits Jackson, and he disappears, and a gruesome-looking creature appears in the room, scaring the couple. But that creature also disappears, leaving Shannon unconscious. They are using Shannon's pregnant body to replace Jackson with the baby so that he can be born again. And the old stupid couple thinks that Jackson indeed replaced the baby. What a load of idiocy. In the morning, after waking up, Henry starts to talk about last night with Audrey, who's flossing her teeth and her face isn't showing. But all of a sudden, Henry's phone rings, and the caller seems to be Audrey. Then, the woman starts to come near him while still flossing, and her teeth are falling on the floor. Her whole mouth was bloody, and she looked very grotesque, making Henry terrified as hell. But all of a sudden, Audrey appears, and the woman disappears. Later in the hospital, a detective, Officer Bello, meets Dr. Walsh about missing Becker. Even though he tells her he doesn't know anything about it, his assistant tells the detective that Dr. Walsh told her he met her in the morning. It looks like Henry forgot to play safe in his risky business. The doubtful detective asks when and where he saw her, and he tells her accordingly. Because of the incident, Audrey and Henry start to panic, and the door knocks suddenly. Audrey thinks the police have come, but a boy wearing a ghost-like costume is at the door to ask for a trick or treat. Audrey finds it very cruel, as she doesn't like games, and shuts the door. But she again sees the boy asking for trick or treat in her house in different rooms. The evil spirits show their presence in various ways. She comes upstairs to call Henry while still observing the ghostly boy. The boy was running around the house. In the meantime, Henry picks up the phone and tells her, "You should give her your soul." The evil entity shows his presence in every way possible. The boy comes to the floor with the elevator and it becomes very tall and repeatedly says, "Trick or treat," scaring the hell out of Audrey. But all of a sudden, it disappears. In Becker's room, Audrey says that her daughter came, but Shannon asks where she is now. She changes the subject and goes to make some cookies. At that time, Shannon tries to uncuff herself to the bed, but all of a sudden, she sees a guy with a plastic bag on his head growling beside her bed. She starts screaming as the ungodly man begins to twist his body in a very satanic way. He comes over to Shannon's body and bites on her belly. Audrey also comes to the room. Seeing her, the dreadful man starts to crawl to her, but when Henry comes and holds her, everything disappears, leaving the room silent. After all the incidents, they started questioning whether they made a mistake. Obviously, they had made a mistake, and the consequences were getting worse and out of hand day by day. While chatting, Henry tells Audrey that he saw many dead crows in the backyard. They realized all these things were happening just because of what they did. Suddenly, the Rory guy again comes to clean the snow in their yard. Even though Henry tells him he doesn't need him right now, he still pushes to do it immediately. On the other hand, Audrey goes upstairs to Shannon's room to give her a shot so she doesn't make any sound. Then, the creepy couple plans to leave for Mexico when Jackson is born, taking him with them. Henry will burn the house down so that no ghost can disturb them anymore. But all of a sudden, Rory tells them, "You did it right. Jackson is coming back to you." Saying that he puts his head on the machine, which severely damages his head, the scene is quite dreadful to watch. After some time, while going to Shannon's room behind Audrey, a blurry structure of a man standing right behind the door. In the room, Shannon asks Audrey if they are going to kill her after they get their grandson, but she says nothing. Then we see someone behind the door, trying to open it slowly. Audrey is talking about her daughter, who also died, but she didn't die at once as she was in a wheelchair for a while. But as she couldn't accept her child's death, she threw herself on the stairs from the wheelchair and killed herself. Henry cuts Rory's body into pieces and tries to hide them in the pile of snow. Suddenly, the detective calls to meet Henry. But Henry is trying to make the appointment tomorrow at the clinic. But she pushes to meet him in an hour at his house, which makes Henry angry and frustrated. Here, Shannon Becker wants to be involved with the baby's life even if they always lock her up in a room. While returning to the house, Henry sees that the officer has found Shannon and Audrey's hands locked from behind. She is ready to arrest both of them as the kidnapper of Shannon Becker. Shannon starts screaming to free her from the bed, but the officer shot herself instead, making everyone shocked by the unbelievable situation. The demonic power was getting stronger. They could feel it every second. Then, a guy from their occult group, Ian, comes to their house, where they talk about the book and how they found it. They ask him about the invoking, when they call for a spirit in a new vessel. They also tell Ian they've asked Serget to bring back their grandson. However, Ian explains that whatever they did was wrong. This demon, Serget, unlocked the door between the human world and the tormented souls. It helps to bring someone back, but as the door unlocks, every evil spirit will be here to find a host. And as per the host, they used Shannon for that. They bring Ian to Shannon's room to show her. Ian tells them that they did half the ritual. They have to trade their life and invite him in. This means that Shannon has to trade her life for Jackson. They tell Ian to perform the remaining ritual. After finishing the ritual, he wants them to give him the book and $10,000. They plan to hold the ceremony tomorrow. Ian tells them they'll need salt, rock salt, and kosher to do the rite. Then he wants to leave the place quickly as he doesn't feel safe here, and anything can happen to him, as the evil spirits are constantly crawling into the house. In Shannon's room, She tells Henry that she wants to stay as the mommy of the baby, even though she knows they are planning to kill her. She asks how many people have to die bringing their grandson back. Henry says as many as they need because they made a deal with the devil. Henry is doing everything not because of Jackson, but because of Audrey. In the middle of the conversation, the officer again appears in front of Henry to shoot herself, and then some evil spirit takes the body from there. Then Ian comes to Walsh's place, where he also experiences the detective shooting scene. Then he pours some blood on the floor so that she cannot disturb them anymore while they start doing the ritual. As preparation, Henry and Ian go outside to put some dead animals in the yard. He tells Mr. Walsh that he has to kill Shannon, and he cannot hesitate at all while doing it. Otherwise, everyone will be killed. In the house, Audrey starts to create the sign with the blood on the floor. Even though they're going to kill her, Audrey still tells Shannon that they're going to keep her with the baby. As Audrey goes to bring some food for her, she immediately uncuffs herself and uses water to show Audrey that her water has broken. As Audrey tells the news to Henry, they all come to the room. But with Ian's boot, some salt has been removed from the place as it protects them from the evil spirit. As Shannon fakes her pain, Ian starts to read spells from the book. But all of a sudden, the leader of the occult group, Yolanda, calls Henry to say that Ian killed his mother last night and made odd symbols on the wall. Then Ian made some symbols on the palms of his feet and marked the floor with his blood. At that time, Shannon keeps Audrey hostage with the knife and tells them to uncuff her feet. In between the chaos of uncuffing or maintaining the cuffs, Ian gets frustrated and stabs Audrey with the knife. Then he cuts his hand and sprinkles blood on Henry and Audrey. As Ian is still reading out a spell, the sign is sparkling, and he starts saying, "He's coming." Then Shannon stabs his leg, and an evil spirit comes and takes him away. The guy with the plastic bag again appears before Shannon, and something starts moving inside Audrey's body. But Henry tells Shannon, "Forgive us," and then pukes blood. While leaving the house, Shannon sees all kinds of evil spirits. Then we see a demonic creature arise from Henry's body and go somewhere. Shannon leaves the place immediately with the car, but in the woods, she sees the evil entity in front of her car, looks at her, and starts crossing the road. Then Shannon tries to feel her belly, which indicates her baby is totally safe from anything demonic. As the evil spirit is in this world now, it won't meddle in Shannon's business anymore.